Welcome to Cold Brew Finance's U.S. End-of-Week Deep Dive, covering market moves in indexes, sectors, stocks, and global markets for the week ending Friday, March 27th, 2026. We'll dive into various financial segments, providing a detailed analysis of the past week's performance trends. Kicking things off, I'm Max Profit. Key indexes face downward pressure, with the S&P 500 index dropping 137.63 points to 6,368.86. The Nasdaq Composite Index saw a significant decline, down 699.25 points to 20,948.36. Meanwhile, the S&P 400 MidCap Index and the Russell 2000 Index showed slight gains. A negative breadth of market is evident as the S&P 500 index had 437 decliners over 54 advancers. Similarly, the Dow 30 index recorded 3 advancers and 27 decliners. However, the Russell 2000 index had slightly better breadth, with 429 advancers against 1,417 decliners. Examining total returns, the Nasdaq Composite Index dropped over 3% for the week. In contrast, the S&P 400 MidCap Index showed resilience with a minor 0.44% gain. The percentage change highlights volatility across varying indexes, with sharp declines in key segments. Over a 10-year span, the Nasdaq Composite Index showed the strongest growth, with an ARR of approximately 15.93%, outpacing both the Dow 30 Index and S&P 500 Index. Long-term returns demonstrate substantial growth despite short-term turbulence.
Checking out best and worst performing equities, I'm Penny Stock. Urban-gro skyrocketed with a close of 17.61, a huge gain of 15.43, marking a new one-year high. Elite Education Group International and Mangoceuticals hit new all-time lows even as their prices rose, while MKD Well Tech and Quantum Biopharma both enjoyed significant uptrends. Now focusing on total and daily returns, urban-gro's weekly return stood out with an impressive gain of over 700%. Elite Education Group International saw a climb of 265%, while Mangoceuticals and MKD Well Tech showcased strong performance, rounding off with 200% and 120% gains, respectively. Quantum Biopharma lagged slightly behind, with a 113% ascent. Turning to total and annual returns, urban-gro displayed a yearly return of 35.46%. Elite Education Group International and Mangoceuticals experienced setbacks in their 3-year annual returns, with decreases of -32% and -75%, respectively. Meanwhile, MKD Well Tech and Quantum Biopharma faced challenges over 1 year with negative returns. Focusing on U.S. big-cap stocks, Schlumberger surged, closing at 53.50, marking a 1-year high. Albemarle and APA followed, boasting significant uptrends. While Dow advanced over 5 weeks consecutively, Halliburton also marked new heights, with a strong upward trajectory. In total and daily returns, Schlumberger posted a commendable weekly return of 14.7%. Albemarle achieved a similar gain, while APA saw a steadfast climb with 11 consecutive weeks of gains. Dow and Halliburton furthered their progress with 11.3% and 10.6% increases, respectively. Zooming out to total and annual returns, Schlumberger showcased a 27% yearly increase. Albemarle's 10-year annual returns exceeded 112%, reflecting exceptional growth over the long term. In contrast, APA faced less optimism in its 10-year timeline, showing a slight dip, while Dow and Halliburton held steadier over various timelines. Turning to underperformers, Ridgetech plunged by 98.5% with strong downward volatility. Linkers Industries and HeTech Global followed suit, marking new all-time lows. Meanwhile, Iterum Therapeutics and Liebang International Corporation Inc.'s ordinary shares continued their declines, both showing very strong negative trends. Checking into total and daily returns, Ridgetech hit a dismal 98.5% drop over the week. Linkers Industries and HeTech Global continued their downward spirals. Moreover, Iterum Therapeutics and Liebang International Corporation Inc.'s ordinary shares remained troubled, reflecting significant losses. Starting with some of the smallest, yet worst-performing stocks, Ridgetech closed at just 4 cents, plummeting almost 99%. Linkers Industries isn't much better, dropping to 2 cents with a 97% decrease. Both have set new record lows and show a very strong negative trend. On to the big cap stocks. Estée Lauder Companies and Coinbase Global both experienced significant declines. Estée Lauder tumbled over 21% to close at 67.23, while Coinbase sank 18% to 161.14. Both stocks maintain a very strong negative trend. Continuing with big caps, this week saw Micron Technology fall 15.5% to 357.22, despite a positive trend overall. Enphase Energy decreased by 14.2%, with mixed trend indicators. The high downward volatility is a common feature across these stocks, impacting short-term returns. Wrapping up the big caps decline, Axon Enterprise dropped more than 13%, closing at 429.94. A very strong negative trend prevails, yet its long-term performance remains strong with a substantial 10-year ARR of 37.12%. Negative trends and volatility signal caution ahead.
And now onto U.S. sector performance. The energy sector led with a close of 962.26, gaining 56.37 points, marking a 6.2% rise. This sector has shown a robust upward trend, closing up for 14 consecutive weeks, achieving a new all-time high. The energy sector continued its strong performance with 127 one-week advances against 20 declines. Its new all-time high stands as a significant milestone. In contrast, the basic materials sector had mixed results, with notable weekly growth, but fewer one-day advances compared to declines. In the energy sector, the one-week total return is impressive at 6.22%, with a month-to-date of 12.53%. Notably, this sector has achieved a 39.99% year-to-date return. However, the basic materials sector faced a decline month-to-date despite a 4.18% weekly return. Looking at annual returns, the energy sector delivered considerable growth over a decade, with an annual rate of return of 7.61%. Conversely, the basic materials sector also performed well over 10 years, showing a slightly higher annual rate of return at 8.15%.
Shifting our focus to the energy sector, key stocks are exhibiting strong performance. Leading the charge, Schlumberger closed at 53.50 with a notable increase of 6.87. APA mirrored this, climbing 5.28 to 44.39. Both stocks hit new one-year highs, demonstrating a persistent upward momentum. When examining returns, Marathon Petroleum steals the spotlight with a month-to-date return of approximately 27%. Meanwhile, EOG Resources has maintained an 11-week positive streak. This showcases robust performance within the energy sector, marked by strong volatility and encouraging growth rates. Focusing on long-term returns, Marathon Petroleum stands out with a stellar 10-year ARR of 21.17%. In contrast, APA reported a mild downturn over a decade. Broadly, all these stocks exhibit a powerful positive trend, resonating high market optimism in this sector.
The sectors ended the week on a downward note. The communication services closed at 400.98, down 7.1%, marking 4 weeks of losses with strong volatility. The technology closed at 5,023.35, dropping 3.4%, with 5 consecutive weeks down in significant downward volatility. Widespread declines were observed in leading sectors. Despite a price close at 796.33, the financial services sector saw broader advances of 349 over 235 declines in a week, indicating a strong negative trend. The consumer cyclical had 5 weeks of declining closes with more one-day declines. In daily returns, all sectors continue to register weekly losses. The communication services sector saw a 7.17% decline for the week and monthly at 11.59%, showcasing ongoing trends of negative returns. The technology sector followed a path of a 6.3% monthly decline. Examining annual returns shows contrasting performance across sectors despite the decline. Over 10 years, the technology sector experienced a 594% total return. Meanwhile, the industrial sector showed resilience with an annual rate of return at 10.88%, signaling stronger long-term outcomes amid the downturn.
For communication stocks, Meta Platforms, Alphabet, Walt Disney, DoorDash, and Take-Two Interactive Software all reported notable declines. Meta Platforms' end price was $525.72, down by 67.94, marking a very strong negative trend. Alphabet followed with a close of $274.34, with a drop of 26.66 and mixed negative trend. Looking into the return metrics, despite Meta Platforms dropping for 5 straight weeks, it shows a 3-year total return of nearly 159.2%, highlighting its longer-term strength. However, DoorDash reported a new 1-year lower close, while also declining 35.3% year-to-date, matching its ongoing downward trend. In a broader scope, Alphabet shines with a 10-year total return of over 627%, despite short-term losses. Conversely, Walt Disney remains in a very strong negative trend with a bleak 10-year annual rate of return, floating around negative 0.5%. Clearly, the sector is mixed long-term.
Thanks for watching. I'm Max Profit, along with my AI co-host Penny Stock. Please like, subscribe, comment, share. Cold Brew Finance is an experimental project with market reports written, narrated, and delivered totally by AI, with market data kindly provided by financialmodelingprep.com. Always seek professional financial advice before making any investment decisions. Check into the channel daily for coverage of stocks, crypto, currency, and commodities. Thanks for watching.